Next week, will Trailblazer enter the kiln of the first flame? Tune in to find out. Only on Dark Souls Z.
So,
Ta-da!
after clearing the way to the final area, we will not go through it.
Oh, what a shame. What a shame.
It's not a shame. I mean,
I love
what do you
Chipmunk
expect?
voice.
Yes, the
God.
many benefits of fast forwarding footage.
He's very stoic to be able to take the halberd tip through his forehead like that and just keep talking to you.
Well, actually, I don't know if you knew this, but he was originally going to be Gwyn's lost son.
Was he really?
Yeah, but before they just cut that.
So they apparently just decided to keep Gwen's lost son lost.
Yes, he makes no appearance in the game, and they still kept the character model and just use him as a blacksmith. I mean that it does make sense. Just looking at it, he does look a little bit like Gwen. So.
Oh, I wonder what
But
this
anyway,
is.
this is where we freed Dusk from that crystal golem, and then we also got the broken pendant from the Duke's archives, and it opened a portal.
Now, see, I didn't get the opportunity to hit examine on that, actually.
Weird.
Like, when I got close enough, it just automatically triggered this cutscene.
Giant hand.
Yeah, getting sucked in by an eldritch arm.
Blech.
Beautiful.
A
Lovely.
very Bloodborne-esque arm.
Yeah, there is going to be another character in this location that is very Bloodborne-esque, actually.
Where are we? We don't know yet, but anyway, I need to
Let's
check
leave.
something first. Yeah, I needed. I forgot about something.
Peace out. Whatever. We don't want to deal with this.
Well, we just got out of the Tomb of the Giants, and we need a slight update on things with these characters. And for example, Patches.
Yeah.
Oh, how many of you are there? You've come at the perfect time. I'm done with the
Because he does say a few interesting things if you don't kill him on sight.
Yeah, he's so humble, I'm sure.
nice look at them. Oh, relax. No more funny business out of me, my
No,
friend.
no more funny business. But you notice that he is, he's hunched down right over another cliff area.
Yeah, he's sitting like Al from Death Note. He's very conspicuous.
It's like, oh,
Oh, we just happened to find cleric armor on him.
yeah, because he hates clerics so much.
Do you hear that bell?
Yes,
Someone
I did.
ringing the bell.
Ah.
I just bought cleric armor because whatever.
He also sells the other masks, apparently.
Yes.
Wonder where he
So you
got
can
those
tell
from.
he's been farming the pinwheels.
Yeah, apparently.
So yeah, he actually journeyed far into a Giants.
Welcome
So
to Trusty Patches Trove of Treasures. We chop
Trusty
slices,
Patches.
not limbs.
that's his full name, Trusty Patches.
You're not trustworthy.
Yeah. So he's talking about Shiva.
I can see it in his
So
eyes.
yeah, don't trust Shiva, but we already killed him.
No doubt about it.
Well, didn't Shiva have dialogue to say "Don't trust patches"?
Let that sunbathing Solaire believe me on this,
No,
my love.
well I don't remember, but Alvina, she has dialogue saying don't trust Shiva. Yeah. So
Nod your head and keep
anyway,
your
he's talking about
thoughts
Solaire, saying he's not very smart, but he is quite tough. He can take a lot of hits for some reason. So,
self-proclaimed cleric.
and then Petrus, the cleric guy, who lost his party.
Scum. Don't you be fooled by his claims to do
I love
So-
the
They're all the
so I love the descriptions on Solaire's armor as well. Is that it's like, oh, this armor is completely unremarkable. Solaire's strength must have just come from rigorous training. It's like,
Yes.
yeah, that's right.
Probably did.
He's just a straight up badass. That's right.
Yeah. Turns out his helmet is like made out of cardboard or something.
Yeah.
And so he's also talking about Lautrec and saying don't trust him as well. And so it's a bit weird how most players would have dealt with Lautrec before you even met Patches. So.
Oh, right. Lautrec is the one who has dialogue about Patches.
All right. Oh, and Lautrec was of course the one that killed Anastasia.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking to Patches here, who we have now been told isn't who he says he is.
But I mean, it's not like Patches is trustworthy either.
I guess. But anyway, we're going to the church, and who would the person in the church be?
What happens to Rhea?
We're just about to find out.
Oh, are
we are in the church.
Oh, is this where? Oh, okay.
And so,
oh gosh.
And so remember, there was a channeler earlier, so the channel was there, still working for Seath, waiting for people like her to show up. You know.
Huh. I mean.
And okay, so each of the different types of magic, sorceries, pyromancy, and miracles. There's been a basic trainer and a advanced trainer. For the basic one, for miracles, it's Patris. Right. For the advanced one, this is her, Rhea. Pyromancy, it's that cloaked guy in Firelink Shrine, and the advanced one would be Quilana down in Blighttown. And for sorceries, it would be that sorcerer dude. I forgot his name. Who always kisses Logan's ass, and then of course the advanced sorcerer one would be Logan.
Right.
And we have another chance to join the Covenant, but we do because we're not part of the Covenant, so might as well.
No downside. Yeah, sure.
There is no downside now.
I mean, we already betrayed the Forest Hunters, so.
Yeah, we won't be initiated back in, and we also killed Quillan, so we can't join the Chaos Servants.
We're just ruining.
And
all
we killed
these
Nito.
covenants.
We killed Nito, so we can't join Gravelord Servants.
Yeah.
And we killed Guinevere, so we can't join the Princess Guard. Solaire is dead, but we can still join Sunbros. We cut the tail off of the Ancient Dragon, but we still can join the Dragon Covenant.
How do you join the Sunbro Covenant?
There is a statue in Undead Parish. That's where you devote your things and
sunlight medallions.
That's where you give your sunlight medallions and to level up and stuff. Anyway, the boss here.
It's a boss. Yeah, right away.
So this is probably my least favorite thing in the entire game, aesthetic-wise. I think it's so uninspired.
Well, because it's a chimera, so.
I thought it was a manticore.
Yeah, I suppose it's probably closer to a manticore.
Because, okay, so if we were to take a manticore in Greek mythology, I think, the difference between that and this would be the manticore has a human face.
Right. That's why it's like it's a little bit of both, kind of, because of that.
And so, and of course this thing has shoots lightning, but whatever. And the fact that, okay, so I don't like. I like the pantheon style of Greek mythology, but I don't like the mythical creatures in Greek mythology.
Well, plus
because there's a lot of let's take elements from this animal and shove them into this animal, and what do we get? Okay, we got this thing.
Like the satyrs and minotaurs and
let's just put the head of this creature, put it on the body of this, tail from that, wings from this, legs from that.
Plus, it kind of clashes with the area that we're in, anyway.
Yeah.
It's not really thematically consistent with where we are right now.
Well, this is like a Greek thing, and I did say before, Dusk of Oolacile is from like
Well, yeah, she's from
with the
ancient
equivalent,
times,
yeah,
but-
from the equivalent of Greek times. So maybe that's where the Miyazaki was thinking about.
But it's not like there's no aesthetic similarities, though.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. So aside from that, and the fact that this is already a thing in media, and not a lot of creative aspects to it were brought on it, that's why I don't like this thing.
Plus, it's. I mean, personally, I'd find it very annoying to fight.
Well, if you know how to dodge the attacks, then I think fighting is okay.
I mean, I'm a tank, so I just block everything.
Don't do that. That's not how you play Dark Souls.
No, that's how I
Dodge.
play Dark Souls.
Well, you're not a Dark Souls player.
I literally blocked the fire from Calamite.
Okay.
Like, that's how I've been playing Dark Souls. I fully buffed up the crest shield and literally just powered through it.
Okay. The only part of this fight that I actually like is how the lightning spreads across the water, even though it doesn't make any sense. It's still a cool effect.
We should have just been crushed there.
Whatever. And actually, you can cut the tail off this thing and get a whip weapon.
Oh, is that
and
where you
it
get that?
yeah.
Interesting.
It deals poison damage as well.
Of course. How difficult is it to cut this thing's tail off?
I've never bothered, so.
I can't imagine that it's the easiest tail to chop off.
No. It also got a unique icon for its soul, but I think they ran out of time of it because usually for boss souls,
Yeah.
you either gain a weapon from it or you just consume it. But for
That
this
soul.
particular one, you don't get a weapon. It's only used for consuming. So.
Yeah, that soul is literally only good for getting 12,000 souls.
So it makes you think that maybe they didn't have enough time to enter a new weapon, or maybe originally that's how you got the tail weapon, just by using a soul, and they changed it. I don't know.
But now we're in a place called Oolacile.
Yes.
Have we ever heard about that
Yes.
before?
So if it hasn't already been obvious, we've traveled back in time for some reason.
As this talking mushroom will also inform us.
Maybe this is a time when talking mushrooms weren't hostile and
Yeah.
didn't sprout limbs.
Yeah, she's... I don't know if it's more or less disturbing that she's like wiggling around and like sticking out of the tree and doesn't have any arms.
Well, when I see things like this, and if I met in real life, I'd be freaked out, but more confused because
Sure.
it's not hostile, so I wouldn't be scared of it.
How do you know that it's not hostile right off the...
Because I can see it has no limbs, so it can't even. It doesn't have the opportunity to attack me.
There are a lot of things in nature that like to shoot spores and spines.
Well, just by looking at it, it doesn't look poisonous.
Looks
And besides,
deceiving.
besides, like, mushrooms only dangerous if you try to eat it, and I don't think I'll be eating that.
I don't know, that a mushroom of that size would provide rather a lot of sustenance, if you ask me.
Mhm. And by the way, the Lord Vessel acts like a bonfire. The more Lord Souls you've poured into it, the more Estus flasks you gain, and you can actually get
really?
20 if you have all of them. So.
Huh. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Oolacile.
And by the way, that's the reason why I went back to it, so I can get 20 without spending humanities on upgrading the one I was
Sure.
already at.
So
And
that little corner that we just passed has been the death of me multiple times.
okay.
Because as I'm running through here, I get too, impatient with how I'm aiming my character, and end up just slipping off the cliff.
You're right.
Yeah. I've done that. I've done that on both of the characters that I've brought to this location.
By the way, this is actually the past version of the Darkroot Forest or
Yeah.
Garden. So this is at the time before it got all dark.
Which does seem very evident when you kind of just look around.
Yeah.
Even the general landscape is like similar enough.
Well, it's not even similar. It's the exact same.
Is it actually like the same map?
Yeah, it's just a heavily modified version of the Darkroot Garden or Forest, whatever.
Wow, you actually deal less damage to these guys than I was.
Well, I know. I assume these guys have a high lightning resist. I mean, these guys are like made of stone, so
well, they have very high physical resist as well.
they don't exactly conduct electricity very well.
They don't go down easily. Ugh, they're
Yeah, and so just looking at these guys, they look too similar to the demonic foliage and the stone guardians.
yeah, that too.
That's basically what these people are, but before things got all fucked up.
Well, because Oolacile got swallowed by the abyss.
Yes, and that's the entire threat in this DLC. One thing I want to mention of like DLCs for like Fallout or Skyrim or that can happen, or Borderlands or whatever, where they have in the DLC they have like a villain, but they can never show that it's more of a threat, or like even Mass Effect.
Yeah.
They can never show it's more of a threat than the villain of the main game.
Yeah.
Because it'll be weird having the DLC threat being bigger than the main game one, and thus, since you're gonna go through the DLC like all later in the game, having a lesser threat, after dealing with the main one is a little, it doesn't really feel that important, so like looking at like Mass Effects, why do I have to deal with what's it called, Purgatory? No, Omega.
Omega, yeah.
Why do I have to deal with Omega's shit when there's a galaxy-wide threat of Cerberus, So and thus the entire time I was going through the DLC, I felt like, why am I even doing this? I don't even care, because there are more important things at hand, right?
I mean, that all depends on the perspective you take while you're playing the game, though. Because you could expand that question to basically every single side quest in the entire game.
That's true. But all the side quests, they help in some way because because of the war assets, you get some from every side quest. But since you can complete the game without the DLC, then the DLC seems pointless.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how much you care about the narrative significance
of Omega. Well,
yeah.
that's probably the case because I don't really like Arya and I don't like Omega, so
yeah.
It's
Like
probably
I was relatively fond of Omega, so I didn't mind it.
Well, I did the villain in Omega, the DLC Omega, is probably like he was so bad I hated him because in a cutscene, basically like you do I'm gonna kill you, and then the guy's like, no, not if I kill you first, and then like the transmission ends, and then the villain turns around and he moves a chess piece. I'm like, oh god, no, don't do a villain like this. Because like all the characters being represented by chess pieces, that's been done so often, like, and so when I saw that I was like, fuck this DLC. But anyway,
oops.
Wow,
how did I miss that chest? Holy crap.
It's the same chest. That's actually the exact same chest where you get the enchanted ember.
Yeah.
Same location.
How did I? Oh, jeez, that.
It was hidden in some bushes anyway. So, but anyway, so and so actually, the threat in this DLC is more than the main game, which is very weird. And so you can ask the question, why wasn't the bigger threat in the main game as a threat? Well, it's because you're traveling back in time.
Yeah.
And the threat was already dealt with. By the times of the main game. So
it's kind of a narrative hand wave, but yeah, that's one way to do it.
Well, this is the going back in time is the only way of actually like meeting the characters and finding the bosses in the DLC anyway. So there's no going around it. Like
No, I just mean in a general sense of how you make a character that is just as or more threatening than a main villain, and how you make it seem like they're not like completely being Deus Ex Machina'd out of nowhere. Like, time travel is a very basic, simple, and kind of cliche way in itself of doing that.
Well, we are dealing with a thing called the Abyss, and if the Abyss was still... Well, in the context of the timeline of this DLC, the Abyss is spreading and is a threat to the entire world, and so if we didn't deal with the Abyss here, then by the time we were in the main game, it would be a lot different anyway. So
sure,
they had to show how it was dealt with, you know.
Well, I mean, they wanted to show.
I don't know why I'm standing here.
Suddenly, your controller died.
I think my sister was going through the door, but I had to open the door. Or unlock it or whatever.
You forgot to cut everything out.
Well, it didn't take that long.
Oh, and there was a twinkling titanite on the guy the entire time.
Yeah.
He was
I could have missed
just waiting to be looted, man, and you weren't doing anything about it.
Well, thank God it's not a game where items from enemies, they just disappear after a certain amount of time.
Like, thank God we're not playing a game that doesn't have a pause mechanic.
Yeah. Anyway.
And, Gregan. Hi, Gregan. How are you feeling,
He's just
Gregan?
looking at us.
Oh,
anyway, if you remember the time when I got invaded, this is where I got invaded. This is the exact.
Yeah.
It looks way too similar to this location, and and going. Like, of course, the hole wasn't here in the future, but
all the massive just openings in the ground.
Yeah, and so heading right would be where the forest hunters are.
Right.
And I don't know how these holes are filled up in the future, but they eventually did. So
yeah, apparently. The world got fixed. It's been
I guess
been a couple millennia. Oop.
I thought he fell off the cliff there, but unfortunately he didn't.
No such luck.
No, this isn't your bullshit AI pathing game. No, you don't get that.
Occasionally you do, actually.
Yeah, well.
You can make enemies fall to their deaths. Wow, we almost very nearly fell to our death there.
I like to mention that most of my deaths have either been from bullshit or from falling.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, most of my deaths have either been from bosses or falling. I don't actually recall a time when I just died from regular enemies aside from the gargoyle or the wheel skeletons.
Yeah.
Or the torch hollows, because all of those have rapid
Oops.
attacks and can hit you continuously.
Oops.
And we missed.
Well, your aim is apparently not fantastic.
They said the lock-on isn't perfect when you're dealing with pyromancies here.
All right. So what's off to the left here?
Off
Real
to the
quick.
left.
Yeah. Because there's another little hallway with another one of those little elevators.
This is a shortcut.
Not this one. The other way.
That's a shortcut to a later level.
I must not have gotten to that particular elevator yet then.
Probably not.
Also, this guy. We're just gonna piece right by him.
Yes.
That guy is the character who appears to be possibly a reference to From Software's future game, Bloodborne.
Yeah, he's wearing clothes that is definitely not from this time or our time. Probably in the future.
And when you talk to him, he has a different kind of speaking oops.
No, this is on purpose.
What are we doing?
I was talking about AI pathing earlier, so...
Why are we, like, funneling them in here one at a time?
Because I can't be bothered dealing with them normally.
Do we have 2 Stone Guardians out there?
Yes, and it's like that. All the drones are trying to get in, but you have so many that none of them can get in.
Sure. Wow.
So is that Simpsons scene? Or is like Mr. Burns has so many diseases and
there we
he
go.
can't get through the doorway.
There we go. And yeah, that's how you do it.
That's how you deal with those enemies.
Yeah.
Just shove that one in the hole. Yeah, so this is where Alvina would be, and this is where Shiva and his ninja guy would be.
Right.
And a bridge is yet to be constructed, but the other side would be you find the stone armor and the pathway to Sif. I think where Sif, his boss area, I think it's where the Sanctuary Guardians area is as well. It's sort of like, because it's like circular. It might be, it might not be, but there's a chance. Yeah, these guys are doing a little bit of gardening, and they have to resort to using gardening tools as weapons.
They don't actually. So these guys in particular don't go hostile to you immediately, but they will eventually if you stick around long enough.
They're like, stop trampling our flowers and more cones.
We have a bunch of buildings in the distance as well.
Yeah. That's not until later, of course. It's very how they advertise Skyrim, where if you see it, you can go to it. And prepare for...
There's a lot of truth in advertising in this game with regards to that.
Have you... So why wasn't around when this game was being, like, advertised or had any trailers for it? Were you?
Very, like, vaguely. I was kind of, like, I was sort of aware of it, but, I've never paid much attention to, like, pre-release media in general.
Well, when was the first time you've heard of Dark Souls?
I heard of Dark Souls... Jeez. Probably like a year before it got released, maybe. Because I had seen Demon Souls in GameStop one day, and I decided to pick it up. And I started playing it, and I was like, holy shit, this game is kicking my ass, but it's a lot of fun anyway. And so then I heard that, there's another game coming out that's going with the same sort of naming convention as Demon Souls, and I was like, that sounds vaguely interesting. I wonder what that's going to be like. But I never really paid too much attention to it, because while I liked Demon Souls, I was never good enough at it to be like, oh yeah, this Dark Souls is gonna be my jam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, this game was, of course, the same year Skyrim was released,
Yeah,
2011, and Skyrim kicked the shit out of everything that year, and so
I mean, yeah.
and especially RPGs, because like when you say
Ouch.
when you ask someone, hey, name me an RPG that's released in 2011, the first thing they're going to say is Skyrim, of course. And so, when it came down to like end of the year awards, or like when people were discussing what the best games of the year were, a lot of people were like, oh well, of course Skyrim's going to be up there, and like, well, at least what was the best RPG, and everyone said Skyrim. But there was also a vocal minority that said it's Dark Souls. I was like, what is Dark Souls? What is this game? And then it was only like months after the game was released, I actually knew what Dark Souls was.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit! Like, oh, and so I watched a couple of videos on it. And I was like, man, this is a pretty cool, interesting game, and the bosses are nice. And then only afterwards I was told this game is really, really hard. You should be cautious, because maybe you never complete the game. And so maybe you're right. And so because of that, based on what people have said, I thought that Dark Souls' main draw was its difficulty. And when it comes to difficulty, I wasn't interested in it, and thus I didn't really follow it after finding that out.
That's
so
the problem with the public perception of the game.
Yes, because like it's not just its difficulty; it's like its level design, its boss design, it's all the mechanics. But most people would say it's difficulty, and thus I was put off by it.
Because I mean, it's a caveat that you kind of have to mention if you're talking about the game, because it is the type of game that, like, if you recommend it to somebody, you have to tell them that, oh, you're probably going to die a lot.
Yeah, and so a couple of my friends I made on Xbox 360, and Xbox Live. A couple of them bought the game, and they're like, "Hey, you should try Dark Souls. It's pretty good. You should like it." And I was like, "Yeah, but it does look nice, but I'm not but it's too hard. I don't think I'm gonna get into it." And so I eventually, even more months later, and it was summer 2014. I eventually bit the bullet and bought Dark Souls on 360. It's like oh god, it's so good, and thus if I was into it earlier and didn't listen about this game's hard and that's all there is to it, I probably would have bought the game a lot earlier and playing the game ever since, because actually. Getting real here, real talk. So it was that summer in 2014 that I played through Dark Souls. Actually, we're gonna get to that in like a minute because
Wait, we're gonna real talk through this. This
yeah, we're gonna real talk through the boss fight because there's a knight here.
Oh yeah, there's a boss, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Hope you guys weren't expecting this DLC to like go easy on you or anything.
Okay, well, first I want to mention how many times did you die to this boss with your new character?
Once.
Okay.
Once. I'd fought him once before on my old character, and I didn't win. And then I went through the majority of this location last night. I still haven't finished it, but I got to this fight, and I got him down to literally one hit left. Where if I had hit him one more time, he would have died, and then he killed me, and I was like, no.
that actually happened on one of my characters when I was playing on 360. My guess what? My controller died as soon as I was about to kill it, and
he's doing the buff move early in this fight.
That's because I was dealing damage to him early.
Yeah, so you can actually stun him out of that buff that he does if you hit him enough times.
Well, whatever. I wanted to give myself a challenge.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually dying that made me get so upset, but do you remember that cliff that I mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
On the other side of the bridge at the entrance to Oolacile. After I died to this boss fight, I ran across the bridge and slipped off the cliff and fell into the water below. And I was like, welp, that's 43,000 souls that I'm never getting back now.
Yep.
Thanks, Dark Souls. Thanks.
So yeah, the first time fighting through this guy, you're gonna have a tough time getting his patterns right, because yeah, he does moves like this, like spinning around. He can catch you off guard like that, and
just throws little
globs of abyss, whatever.
Yeah. Looks very oily and stuff.
Yes, and also that move that hits you 3 times. And actually, the buff he has, it makes him, I think, attack faster, but it definitely also increases his damage. He does.
Yeah, vastly increases his damage.
So earlier on in the fight, if you can like block his hits with a shield, likely you won't be able to do that later on in the fight. And that move right there can kill you in like 1 hit.
Yep.
Even if you have high health like me. So anyway, and so yeah, back to real talk here. I actually finished Dark Souls a lot of times actually over the course of summer, and after that summer, that's when I started college. And there's also one of my friends I have in college right now. He coincidentally, he has the same first name as me. So I was like, hey, I like you. You have the same first name. And thus, I just approached him. I was like, hi, whatever.
I have an affinity towards people who have my name. Can we be people who meet each other and know each other?
Yeah, and like, and so the class we had after lunch, we were waiting outside the room, and we didn't have to we weren't talking about anything, but eventually he asked me, do you play games a lot? And I was like, in my mind I was like, yes, I thought he'd never ask. So finally we got a proper conversation going, and then midway through the conversation he asked me, what about Dark Souls? Do you like Dark Souls? Like, yes, I like Dark Souls. and ever since then we've been friends. And so if I didn't play Dark Souls over that summer and didn't know anything about it, I probably wouldn't have been friends with that guy. So
fantastic.
Yeah. So
Dark Souls, creating friendships since 2011.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of emotional value to this game. So yeah, especially at a time where you're just starting college, because after that I also moved, and so I didn't have any friends. And
transitionary periods.
Yeah, and so it was very helpful. So
yeah. So next time we'll be moving on to a new location.
No real talk though.
Aww, what a shame.